Hi everyone, welcome to the very first video episode of Bridge City podcast. This is the 20th episode of our normal podcast, and we decided to do a video episode to celebrate a little milestone for us. So here we are doing our best. We don't know how this is going to look or sound. Hopefully it comes out all right. Look, we're massive Brisbane Roar fans. We're brothers. So I'm Andrew.
I'm Sam.
I'm the older brother, Sam's the younger one. And I just thought we'd, just to kick things off, just let you guys know a quick little background about us, how long we've been involved as Raw supporters, football-wise, that sort of thing. We actually touched on this in the very first episode of our podcast, but seeing as we might be getting a few people watching the video who aren't usual listeners, so Sam and I have both been playing football for as long as we can remember. We've been in and around the game since we were kids. We both grew up playing football at Runaway Bay Soccer Club here on the Gold Coast. Our families originally are from Redcliffe and Brisbane. I was actually born in Brisbane. Sam was born in Cairns. We're massive Brisbane supporters all round, really. We're huge Broncos fans as well, but football is our main passion. So basically my background, I grew up playing goalkeeper. I was pretty good, without putting raps on myself or anything, but growing up, the keeper who was forever below me, either in the my reserve or in the team below us growing up until about under 15s, under 16s, was Glenn Moss, who had an illustrious A-League career and an international career with New Zealand. I actually went to high school with Mossy as well, Moose as we called him, and I quit and started to drink and party, and I got into I got into punk rock and heavy metal, and he stuck with it, and he had a growth spurt.
And became huge.
So I was a pretty decent keeper. Sam was actually a really good player. Do you want to tell him a little bit about?
I was a defender. I pretty much always played up, which sort of helped. I didn't even realise I was playing up until I think it was grade 8. When I went to school in grade 8 at Aquinas, I realised that all of my teammates were in the grade above me. So it sort of threw me for 6 because I always just thought we were the same age. So basically I played up that whole time, and then when it got to grade 8, I started playing with all the men and properly started noticing what I needed to do, and ended up getting picked for a team that went over to England and Germany, and we sort of toured a bunch of high class sporting institutes and showcase ourselves. We had myself, I think I was the youngest in the team. I was 13 and I think I turned 14.
That's my
dinner's ready.
That's my dinner, sorry.
I was like 13 or 14 when I went over there, and all the others were 19. So it was very intimidating, and it was a massive culture shock for that. But that's where my footballing took me. Unfortunately, never went any further than that because you hit that age where it's either take it seriously or don't take it seriously, and I didn't take it seriously, and had friends that I thought were people that believed in me, that basically told me that I wasn't as good as I was, and so I gave up.
Got into skateboarding and girls.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. So Sam was actually a really good defender, and our little link that we've got with Brisbane Roar is Shane Stefanuto, club legend for Brisbane, was a couple of grades above me at high school and primary school, and Sam actually, touching on when he was in grade 8 playing up with the seniors, he played in the same first division team here on the Gold Coast with Shane at Southport. So that's our little football link that we've got with Brisbane. And Shane's still heavily involved.
I think
with
so,
the club,
I've seen him in and around, training and whatnot. So.
I think he was football director there for a little while. Then he was doing social media and stuff. So anyway, Shane, if you're watching, mate, g'day. Hopefully we can catch up at some stage. All right, so that's a quick little intro out of the way. We're going to break today's podcast down into a couple of sections. This isn't going to be anywhere near as long as one of our usual episodes, which are generally up around about the hour mark, and we go into detail on the games a fair bit. But yeah, we're gonna start off talking about the game on the weekend against Melbourne Victory at Suncorp.
Yep.
Fantastic result, but obviously there's a big story that has overshadowed the game, unfortunately, as is the way of football in Australia. So we're gonna talk about the game, and then we've got a few listener questions that we have got from Twitter.
Cool.
And I do have my phone here, okay, so we can get them queued. But
Get them ready.
yeah, so we're going to talk about the game, and then a couple of the questions that we've got touch on the drama with the police and everything on the weekend. So we'll talk about that a bit later. I thought actually we should probably mention that Sam and I have both been Brisbane Roar fans since day one. I was actually living in Brisbane when the A-League started, or I think maybe a year. No, I was living there. Yeah, I was living there when the A-League started. And yeah, we've been there through the thick and the thin. We've been there, in those years where we were kind of ordinary at the start, and then that unbelievable time under Ange, the glory days, and we're still here now that we're shit again. So, yeah, that's our background in terms of how long we've been supporting the club. We've been there since, Chad Gibson, Jonty Richter, Miron Bleiberg, all the way through, to
the 14
today.
that we've had this year.
Yeah, to the 7 coaches that we've had in the last couple of months. All right, mate. Well, look, let's talk about the game on the weekend.
Yep.
Fantastic result.
Yeah, it was even better because I had to watch the Broncos game beforehand. So
Yeah.
it was, I was really in a bit of a slump after watching that, and so I was sort of like, oh, here we go. I'm gonna I actually let my wife Kristen watch the big TV, and I just watched the game on the iPad. That's how dejected I was. I was prepared for a whole 6 hours of watching different codes, and yeah, it turned into me being grumpy on the couch, but ended up being perfect.
And then your spirits got lifted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a fantastic game.
Yeah.
There's still some concerns that.
Oh gosh, especially
that two of
towards
us
the
have
end of the
got.
game. So
Yeah. But I mean, overall, the thing that we have to talk about, I think, is the fact that we started without Jay O'Shea.
I didn't even notice. Like I'm literally sitting there at halftime, realizing that he wasn't. I don't know what I was watching, because usually that's the man that I'm focusing on, because he is in and around the play so much. And it really threw me for a 6.
So I'm just trying to think, with him off, how were we set up? So we had Aldred and Trewin at the back. So one thing that you'll get used to us if you listen to our podcast or watch these videos that we're going to continue doing for however long we can. We're highly disorganised. So
and we try and not rewatch and overanalyze the game.
Yeah.
So we like to keep it with the fresh view that we saw it with. And then maybe we'll watch a replay just to freshen up on the highlights of the game. But yeah, mainly we'd want if you just click on that. Mainly we want to have that fresh, how we remember it from watching the game live.
Yeah, and we've had some good feedback from a couple of people who listen, saying that they enjoy the fact that it kind of sounds like, you're having a couple of beers with some mates after the game and talking about it. We're not going to go into the intricacies of playing inverted wingers or formations. We'll touch on some of that stuff when it's appropriate. But we're not here to give a deep dive technical analysis of the game. That's not really what we do with each other. I'd like to think that we're quite football savvy and football smart. But yeah, we're not going to break down, things tactically and all that sort of stuff on like a real deep dive basis. So what will we
the lineup. So if you look at the lineup, that'll have exactly how it was.
All right. So we had the Freak in goals. Hingett, Aldred, Kai Truan, and Anthony Burke-Gilroy at the back.
Yeah.
Keegan Jelicic out on the right. Joe Coletti, Henry Hoare, Marco Rojas had his first start, and what a start. Then Tom Waddingham and Berenguer up front, and that was kind of like, so Henry Hoare essentially took over.
He was our number 10. Or 9 really was the way that he was playing, but it was Gilroy that was the man that I didn't even realise he was playing left back because of the way that he was playing. He was basically, most of the time that he was getting the ball, he was midfield or inside of Rojas. So Rojas was outside. Instead of the winger coming up and around, he kept coming inwards. So I actually was sort of confused as to where he was actually playing. I thought we were playing a 3 at the back. And we probably were.
I think we were a little bit, yeah. He was playing more advanced.
Yeah, and he was just in front. It seemed to work that way because the Melbourne kept pushing their left-hand side. So he wasn't really needed in defence. And so, we sort of allowed him to go inwards, which, was really cool to see that he can... get in there and move it around when he needs to. It's because I've only really seen him as a winger, as a wing fullback. So it was really, really cool seeing him do that. But the Hoare being the number 10 was quite nice actually. It was he's definitely well put for that position, and then having Coletti motor in and around. Really, really is good.
Didn't miss a beat without O'Shea there, which is a massive rap on Hoare and all of the guys really. But you did see when Jo came on in the second half that he is that half a step up in class. It was quite an interesting lineup. Obviously no O'Shea, and then with Berenguer playing like I guess he was almost playing like a false line, like he was floating in between.
Yeah, well, him and Hoare kept sort of switching. Like Hoare kept coming out to that wing when it was in around the 18-yard box, and Berenguer would drop back
and pull the strings.
And then they would swap when it was defensive or building. Yeah, it was really cool to see. Like we have some very unique positional things that have happened over the last 2 weeks. Even the week before, where it wasn't a very good performance, you still saw it. You still saw all those little things happening where 2 players are playing sort of 2 positions. It's very, very unique.
The other big thing as well is that Nikola Miljusnic didn't start, so he was dropped to the bench for this one. And that's something that if people have been listening to the podcast that we've kind of been calling for the last couple of weeks. I mean, he's been a solid player, but
he's definitely class. He's just getting old. Unfortunately, he's going to be off the bench and good off the bench. Like we're going to be able to utilise him. But
I think Jelicic. His first touch, his passing range, and his the timing of his passes is a little bit better than Miljusnic.
And you can see it with Waddingham running when he runs off the ball. I watched it in the highlights, and I was like, he knows that there's a ball either way from Rojas or from Berenguer when Berenguer's that little bit behind everyone. On the right hand side from Jelicic, he's getting that service now. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So Rojas got a double, first start, and his first goal for the club turned into two headers.
Yeah, 2 headers, which is
weird because he's about 5'3".
Yep.
The Kiwi Messi.
Love that the tall man couldn't score with his head, but the short man could. So.
But it was awesome to see Waddingham get on the score sheet yet again.
Yep. I think 6 goals now.
Yeah, I read a stat. I think it was someone on Twitter or something today posted that I think he's got one more goal. I think he's equaled the most amount of goals in an A-League season by a teenager.
Oh, whoa, really?
Yeah, and he's got one more goal to go to become the highest scoring teenager.
Wow.
I'm not sure if that's in their first season
you
or...
completely forget that he's that young.
Yeah, he's only he's only 18.
He's definitely got a head on his shoulders, and which is horrible because someone will take him away from us. But hopefully he's one of those boys that wants to stay in and build something.
I would like to think if Brisbane, if Kaz and Zach are smart, which, you know, it looks like they seem to be. They seem to be. Yeah. I think they need to bring in like a quality striker.
Oh yeah.
To mentor him.
And then, but like we do with any of these sort of competitions around the world, like you can't just rely on one man.
Yeah.
Everyone will figure him out.
But, I mean, Markovski's doing well. He's starting to really find his feet as an A-League player. He's a little bit older. I think he's like 24.
Yeah, I think he's mid-20s when we did the little run-through.
But again, he's not like a seasoned professional footballer. Yeah. So someone, I'm not sure, you know, like you look at who some of the other clubs have got, like...
Opposite team, Bruno Fornaroli.
Mate, he's maybe a bit too old now.
But that's the sort of person that you want in there, yeah.
Someone like Valère Germain from MacArthur, Zavada from Wellington, you know, guys with that pedigree, you know, first division, second division European strikers. I think, you know, that could really help Waddingham take his game to the next level. So, yeah, it was a really good performance. The defensive deficiencies are still there.
I just don't get it. Sometimes I'm watching it and they're just running away from them.
It's really
like that goal, what's his name? Mashash's goal?
Yeah.
Far out, man. I have not, I don't know, probably 5 weeks now. No, there was 1 week out of the last 5 weeks where we actually came up in defence.
Pushed up.
Yeah. Honestly, it was killing me watching it because it happened 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Where a player will start pushing towards them and 4 of them are all backing off.
They're all back off, yeah.
Instead of, like, where there's 2 on 4. One of you can go at him.
Yeah.
If you stuff it up, you've got back up there. But, yeah, they don't seem to push in the fence at the moment.
I think the problem that they're thinking, I think, is the fact that we've got, like, a fair few very old defenders.
Yeah.
So they're probably...
Which I can understand.
You know, you've got Aldred, who's mid-30s. What is he, like 33 or something now? 32? Something. Hingett, who's around about that as well.
Yeah.
You know, both not the quickest. And then you've got a young... I mean, he's completely well seasoned now. Kai Truan, like...
Truan's played internationals.
But he's still not a proper central defender. He's a bit part player, essentially. And then... Gilroy on the left now, you know, he's young and he's quick. But if he wasn't there, we'd have Corey Brown. So we'd have
three Jerrys on
if Neville wasn't injured, then we'd more than likely...
True, actually, I didn't think about
have a 4 across the back who
are in their 30s.
Old and slow.
Wow, yeah.
So I think that probably plays into it a little bit. They kind of second guess their pace and they don't want to get done. But I still think there's a few times throughout the games where in that situation where someone needs to go for the player.
Yeah.
And also we need to start being a little bit more games... how would you say it? Not unsporting, but we need to give fouls away.
As soon as a ball is given away when we're attacking, pull a shirt.
Yeah.
Like, if you do it in the attacking half, you're generally not going to get your yellow card.
Yeah.
You're generally going to just... if you do it 2 or 3 times, you probably are.
And that'll help out the slower guys at the back. We sometimes just need to break that transition up.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what happened with Mashash, you know, like he picks the ball up on the halfway line.
Yeah, and then
just kick him.
Keeps going, and I'm sitting there like the player that's with him. I'm just like, do something.
I can't remember who
Doesn't
that
matter
was.
who. Yeah, I think it might have been Hingett or Coletti.
Hingett was backing off, and I think it would have been Jelacic and Coletti out that way. So I'm not sure which one it was that essentially, just pull his shirt, kick him a little bit, clip his heels, and then he doesn't go and smash it in at the near post.
It baffled me. Like I thought that I was sort of maybe overreacting, just being negative Nancy on that day, but watching the replay, it's just Don't back off.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, that's a little recap of the game. We're going to have a quick chat about the crowd troubles and everything now. I'm going to queue up the questions from our millions of fans. There's so many adoring fans that we've got. So we're going to get some questions from them and answer them for you guys in a sec. All right. Through the magic of editing, we're back. I had to get my dinner ready. And
it's only 10:30 at night.
Yeah, we're starting to get a bit delirious. We've got some questions from some of our fans on Twitter. So the first question is in regards to the police situation that occurred on the weekend.
Yes.
Now, this is something that we could probably talk about for 45 minutes to an hour, really, when you start talking about the history of football in Australia. Mark Rudin likes to talk about a stigma that Western Sydney Wanderers as a team and the fans have got. But, I mean, football fans, the code of football in general has got a massive stigma in the country.
I mean, Johnny Warren wrote a book called Sheilas, Wogs and Poofters.
Yeah.
If that has just got to be, exactly how it's been seen.
It's really disappointing to see what's happened. I have to admit I haven't fully delved into what happened with the Wanderers, but from what I understood, they had their tifo that they had that wrapped around the whole stadium.
It was amazing.
They apparently had pre-authorised it, and then the police and the stadium staff maybe decided that they didn't.
It seemed to be, from what I have heard anyway, from friends of ours that are down there, they just weren't letting them back into the supporter section.
Yeah, okay.
Even though they had tickets to go down into that section, they were basically saying, no, it's closed. You can't come down here anymore.
Yeah, okay.
And then it kicked off from there, and obviously that's what pushed them to taking it outside.
In, the Wanderers fans have got a reputation, and, they're passionate football supporters, and they show their passion, wear their passion on their sleeves. To be honest, if you were an opposing fan watching them march down the street, it'd be pretty imposing, right? And the police just don't understand it.
Not at all.
Police in Australia, when it comes to sporting events, they used to, a bunch of people walking down the street, minding their manners, sitting down, minding their own business at the stadium, not yelling or shouting. People at most other codes, people can get a little bit rowdy, but they're not used to the organised support that we have in our game. And it's just baffling that after all this time, this shit is still going on. Really, you can always. I'm always going to back the fans.
Yeah.
We weren't there, so we didn't see exactly what happened. We're only going off what we saw on the film, and what people have said on Facebook and Twitter and statements and on posts and things. But from what I can see that happened with Brisbane, the Den boys and girls were making their march down from Hotel LA. Now, admittedly, the numbers aren't as big as what they were, what they have been, but good on everyone who's still going and, creating that active support atmosphere. But so they were heading down from Hotel LA, doing the march down to the stadium.
Yeah. And
they do this thing, normally they stop and they let everyone sort of bunch up.
Yeah.
Right
at that, right where the all the bollards are from the road.
They normally do it a couple of times down the street, right? They normally start a chant. The capo, the person at the front will stop. Everyone will bunch up. They'll all sing along. They'll do the bouncy. They've got a couple of chants where they jump around and carry on, and it's all just good fun. It's not like they're jumping off restaurant tables and shit like that. They're just essentially these days the Den is basically just a bunch of kids having some fun, right?
Yeah.
And the police decided it wasn't on and started yelling at them about being disorderly and not following directions, and families don't want that garbage. And the funny thing for me, there's this one cop, right, who I mean, everyone is watching this, has watched the videos, but he clearly got a chip on his shoulder, and he starts pushing kids around, right? Like telling them not to push each other while he's pushing them.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and he's the one who's got his knee on old mate's.
Yes, that's right. In that arrest
out
video.
the front. So, it's really disappointing. My experiences when it comes to the staff at Suncorp Stadium has been pretty horrible.
I mean, and that seems to be across codes. I don't know if it's just the fact that they're left to themselves to look after 600 people in a section, or if it's just the stress of that alone, or if they're actually instructed to be a little bit more strict.
I mean, the supporter group that I used to go to the games with for a period of time there, the guys and girls in the Northern Element, we got moved around the stadium about 4 or 5 different times. And, we were a bunch of, at the time, late 20s to 40-year-olds, bunch of expats, that had come over from the UK and, not hooligans by any stretch. But they come from proper football culture.
Yeah.
And there was whole heaps of politics. The Den at one point didn't like us because we were creating counter chants. So we got moved up the other end of the stadium to the Paul's family friend zone.
Yeah,
the family zone or whatever, family friendly zone.
Alcohol free zone.
Which was fine. But there was the odd chant that had a swear word or something in it, and we ended up getting moved on again, and it was just like constant harassment. We'd have like 3 or 4 of the little Kermit the Frogs in their green shirts standing there watching you like a fucking school teacher, right? And you've had a couple of beers, you're trying to enjoy the game, and they just, for some reason, they push people's buttons.
Yeah.
For no reason. Like, it's pointless. It's really over the top. It would be awesome if the club, they should have been on top of this a long time ago. If the club could talk to the stadium management firstly, and also the Queensland Police.
Definitely.
But it's really frustrating, and we could go on about it. But I've only been to 2 AFL games in my life, right? I don't really particularly like AFL. I went with my best mate, who sadly has passed away now, and I went with him. He's a massive Lions fan, so I went with him to a couple of games. The bastard never came to a Roar game with me.
No.
But, and we're at this one game. This would have been like maybe 2010 or somewhere around there. Lions versus Port. It was like going right down to the last minute. We were right near the Port fans who are fucking feral.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not an AFL person. I don't know what they're like, but these guys were feral. And I think the Lions missed a kick, right, to win the game on the siren. And this lady just leant across the boundary and poured her beer across one of the Lions staff who was on the boundary. And I'm thinking to myself, if that happened at the football, if that happened at a Raw game, that person, I said on Twitter today, the person would be in stocks at Boggo Road.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
Right? And I've been to a bunch of cricket games, and the carry-on from fans at cricket games is just nothing compared to football, right? There's people passing out left, right and centre at the cricket. There's fights.
Well, the best example cross code that I can think of is when the travelling support for St. George come up. They're very vocal. They're a tight-knit group. You can tell what they are. They'll have 6-7 police standing around. Yeah, so they just mustn't like having the organised groups. They must see them as some sort of threat to making some sort of ruckus. And they're not. I have seen some shit go down, especially at the Titans games. I don't know what it is. It's because they seem to out-support the Titans team when they're there. But I've never seen anything at we only have fucking 10,000 people at a game. So seeing the violence kick off, it doesn't happen. It's really frustrating, right? I was at a game with friend of the pod, Luke, a few months ago, and there was this guy. It was I can't remember. It was like a Sunday afternoon game or something, and there was maybe I think we had maybe 7,000 or 8,000 people.
maybe, I think it might have been actually one of the games where we pushed 10,000 people, right? And in a 55,000 seat stadium, that's not many
like
people.
nothing, yeah.
There's this one guy, he's sitting there like this, right? And he's got, you're not going to be able to see, but he's got his you can't see it, but he's got one leg crossed over the other.
Yeah.
Right? Talking to his girlfriend or his mates or something, and his foot was leaning on the seat in front of him.
Yep.
Like, he wasn't standing on the seat, he wasn't jumping on the seat.
It was just
his
happened
foot,
to be touching it.
the front of his foot was resting against the seat in front of him, and this security guard, female one, she comes and stands there like this, right? Like a fucking school teacher in a quadrangle. Like, and he just sort of like turned around and looked at her, and then just
went back to talking.
Back to talking. And she leans over and she goes, "Feet off the seats." And all of us are like, "Oh, fuck off." And then she starts looking at us and she's like, "Language." And I was just thinking to myself, like, this is not a fucking school, right?
Yeah, we're adults.
Oh, it's so frustrating. And that's just like a really small example. And that's what fans of the game in this country have had to put up with.
Yeah.
And it's getting to the point now where people are fed up, and with the garbage that happened on the weekend, like the football bodies and the clubs are going to have to start doing something about it, because they love to use all of the images of the crowds chanting and jumping around and shirts off and going mental. They love to use all that in the promo footage for the ads, right? But either you want that or you don't.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then the game will die.
It will, yeah.
Because Bosnich, I think, said years ago, something to the effect that it's all over Twitter at the moment again, where it's something along the lines of fans can go without football, but football can't go without the fans.
Okay.
And that was in response to some walkouts years ago. And this has been going on for decades, right? This kind of garbage. And I just hope that some of the higher ups in the game can start actually sticking up for us, and sticking up for the people that are paying the money for this product. It's very frustrating. So, mate, on that note, this is a response that I got from the post today from John, and I've actually saw John posted. I think he actually wrote a letter to his local MP, and he posted it in the Brisbane Roar supporters group on Facebook, and he essentially has like written out an abridged version of that, which I'll read out now. So he said, "I would like you to encourage fans from..." Pardon me, I'll start again. Halfway through dinner, it's repeating on me a bit. "I would like you to encourage fans from all walks of life to complain to their MP, to the sports and police ministers, to Suncorp. They won't believe the young football fans they're targeting, but if they keep hearing it from families, older fans, long-time fans, it resonates. As long-time football fans, we moved here last year intending to go to a few games and ended up full season members because of the den. Right now, it doesn't feel safe to sit in that vicinity because of the constant provocative harassment. Security are itching for a response. I've done 1,000 plus games, 174 stadia, 13 countries. I've encountered a few situations of genuine trouble. I wouldn't dream of sitting with our 7-year-old in the seats next to the den if I had any concern about them. Our kids love being next to them. But I said one polite thing to a cop early on at the game. This is the game on the weekend. It's just kids enjoying football. And she rounded on me and yelled, 'It's people like you who are the problem.' Of course, I didn't dare say another word for fear of being the next person on my stomach under 3 cops. In England, lots of EFL games have 0 police in the stadium. Where there is a police presence, the club has ultimate responsibility for enforcing regulations and conduct. Watching football in Australia is much more intimidating because of the police and security. And of course, this isn't my own minor incident on Sunday, but if they'll casually act so unprofessionally to a polite 48-year-old sitting with his family, then why should anyone believe a bloody word they say about what happened with the young fans outside? We're out." He's not going to renew his membership, and he's not going to take his kids to the games anymore. So that's one example, right? The club has lost, probably from the sound of it, 2 or 3 members. So something has to be done about this. He's just laid out the fact that he's been over 1,000 games all over the world and has never experienced anything like this, and it's over nothing. It's over nothing. Like, I mean, you're not going to, when you've got four, and when that bay's full and you've got, a couple of hundred people there and they're going mental and someone scores a goal and, the beers inevitably get thrown in the air.
Yeah.
What are they going to go, like, sit there and go through the CCTV footage and go and start kicking out everyone who's thrown a beer in the air? Like, they have to look at it, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, they can't look at it literally all the time. Like,
no,
they have to have, like, that's where crowd control, like, you're meant to sort of, like, assess the situation and know when to escalate and when to de-escalate, when to involve yourself and insert yourself into a situation and when not. And, like, like I said at the start of the video, Sam and I have been going to Roar games since day dot.
Yep.
I'm racking my brain to think of, like, true trouble that I've ever seen at a Roar game. Like
I take my son is now 4, and I've taken him there since, like, he was 3 or 4 months old. Like, he went to his first Broncos game when he was 2 months old. So, I mean, like, I wouldn't be taking him into an environment that I think is hostile. Yeah. And we literally sit at the den end for all of our football. Yeah. So, like, it doesn't matter what I'm there to watch. That's where I want to see it. Because that's what resonates with me. Yeah. Is I sit in 3-3-3 because I know 3-3-2 is usually where the fun is. And it is great. Like, my son was chanting along with them and getting involved. And, and we actually walked with them down to the stadium when we went last time, so he could see that, like, this is the sort of fun that they do. The road wasn't closed or anything, so they had to walk down that skinny little footpath between Caxton and the seats that are out the front of Caxton. But he was walking amongst them. No one was having any issues, and it was probably one of the bigger dens that we've had this year as well that he was walking amongst. So it's like. If there was any sort of trouble, I wouldn't be taking him near it.
Yeah, and, like, I guarantee, you could go to a Broncos game or a Titans game.
Titans games seem to be worse.
And
as Gold Coast...
There'd be fights left, right and centre.
Us on the Gold Coast seem to really produce some fuckheads.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you have to be, like I said, like, they have to be prepared for anything, right? Especially when the stadium has got a fair few people in it and you've got fans from the opposing team or whatever, there should be things in place to make sure that the two groups of fans aren't getting anywhere near each other.
Generally, they're at opposite ends.
Yeah, and, there's been no serious drama. I mean, we have to put the Melbourne Victory incident last year aside.
Yeah,
that's a completely different story. That was not on what happened there. But, they just seem to think, I don't know, it's like the cops all think that every single game of football in the country is going to be like a repeat of Green Street Hooligans or something.
It was really funny because leading up to that weekend, I've been watching Welcome to Wrexham, and so I am only in the first season, so don't spoil it for me, even though you can Google where they've been going. There is an episode in there that is all about the gangs. And I just felt like I'm watching that happen at Western Sydney, and then I watched that happen at the Roar, and I'm like, did they just watch that episode and they've just learnt about it, and so we're gonna go and line the streets like they do for their firms? It's not the 70s or the 80s, like things have changed, and one thing I will say is that like some of the guys in the den were apparently not at this week's game, but last week's game were apparently wearing balaclavas and stuff. That doesn't help. No.
Right? You can go to the football and you can create a boisterous, loud, intimidating atmosphere without having to act like you're, like fucking Millwall.
In a drill village. In a drill video clip. It's,
that shit's not on, right? But there hasn't been anything close to anything serious at a Roar game that I've been to where...
We've been to 2 games where there's over 54,000 people in the stadium. Like,
yeah.
And there was, without an incident, there was families everywhere. And especially the second grand final that we were at, where we were behind the goals, and it was full on because we were right near the opposition supporters. So we were giving it to them as much as they were giving back. But nothing happened. I think one person got kicked out, but he looked absolutely like shit-faced. Like, that was probably the only reason that he really had a problem. There was more people that got kicked out at the monster trucks. Yeah, like we had a group of people that got into fisticuffs at monster. I don't know what you fight about at monster trucks, but yeah, like I've had more of an incident there where we actually sort of were like, oh, let's pull ourselves away from this situation. Haven't ever had that.
I just thought of another thing that happened. I think it might have been that same game as when old mate had his foot touching the seat. Luke, it was that game. So it was half time. Luke and I and his young fella were up. Luke and I had gone and had a beer, and Steve was there as well, other friend of the pod from the now defunct Cross Cum Shot podcast.
Best name ever.
So we were chilling there, and I can't remember Luke's little fella's name. Sorry. He had his football, and we were in an alleyway at the stadium.
Yeah.
There was, like I said, fuck all people there, and we were passing the ball to each other, like with the inside of your foot, not kicking it, not doing anything silly. We were in a corridor, like we were like a meter or 2 apart from each other, and we were just rolling the ball to each other. Like while the three of us were having a beer, and the young fella was just there having fun rolling the ball between the 3 of us. And then this guy comes round the corner, arms folded, doesn't say anything, right? Just stands there and looks at us again like a fucking school teacher, on fucking Emu Parade on a quadrangle. Just expected him to have his...
Oh, I haven't heard that in forever.
I was expecting him to have his fucking socks pulled up and...
Yeah. Probably did underneath his pants.
And he was like this, and it's like, mate, are you fucking serious? Like, that's the extremes that the staff go to. And I mean, if anyone's watching and they've got some specific things that they want to add to the comments below, any experiences over the years that you've had with overzealous stadium staff or police at the Roar games, by all means drop some comments down below, because there needs to be more feedback that's publicly visible for the club to see, what has been going on. So, look, we did have another couple of questions. My camera is about to run out of battery.
Yep.
But I think for this week that'll probably do it.
I think that.
So thank you very much, John, for that that thread of comments that you left us. It's really sad that you're not keen to go to any more games.
I think that's the worst thing. That's one thing you don't want to hear is losing a member. Not just losing a person that's going to come to the game. You're losing a member. Yeah, like it's a big deal when someone's not going to turn up with their family. And
people need to start speaking up, and I want to hear more from the club as well. So Kaz put out a statement. I want to see more from Kaz and Zach on this.
Yeah.
Batteries as is. Batteries as is. We did run out of battery. Very professional. What was I saying? I think I was saying something along the lines of we did have other questions.
Yes. On the Twitterverse.
Yes.
On the X.
We did have some other questions. Actually, we might have enough time to run through them. Let me see. No, we're probably going to run out of battery again, mate.
Right.
So
no, that's too easy.
We'll probably leave it there for this week, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
We're playing against Sydney FC this week.
That's right. They are on a 7. Yeah. They've on a 7-game unbeaten streak. Yeah. So that'll be fun, and I think it was saying. I think last time we played, it was just 2. It was 2-1 last time we played. So we could definitely find a point in there. We need it. We need a point to stay in touch. If we could have a win, it will keep us.
That
right
would be,
there. And it will actually break us away from the people below us.
Yeah.
So it'd just be golden if we could. But 1 point will still keep us in the sniff.
Winning down there would be massive, considering, like you said, they're on a 7-match unbeaten streak. They're playing.
This is always great stat to read. The last time Brisbane Roar won away to Sydney FC was 4 years ago. Great. So yeah, but we're playing much better, and if we have that team coming out.
Yeah, they did just smash Western Sydney Wanderers though, so they're coming off the back of a massive Sydney derby win. So it'd be interesting. Hopefully, Jay O'Shea probably be right to start this week.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like the balance was pretty good this week just gone. So yeah, I think if we
just need to defend, that's going to be the issue in this game.
Yeah, Joe Lolly.
They know how to score at the
moment. Joe Lolly's going to be running. At least we got Bert Gilroy on the left-hand side. I think he might have to hold him back a bit and keep him, hold him back from being like that marauding fullback. I think he's going to have to sort of maybe get Jelacic to probably play down the left a little bit more and keep Gilroy to sort of reserve him more as like a defender to sort of keep.
I mean, if they have, they might have. Oh no, because Berenguer was up front there, so. I don't know who would come off on that side because Hall would probably push out to there. So he might not even start. I think he has to start after the last game, doesn't he?
He has to. I think Gilroy is the one that has to keep tabs on Joe Lolly.
Yeah. But we'll find out the teams tomorrow anyway. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, this has been the first video episode that we've done, mate. It isn't the most professional looking YouTube podcast studio that you've ever seen. We're not sure how the sound has gone, but if you enjoyed the video, we'd appreciate it if you gave it a like. Smash that like button.
Smash that like button.
As every douchebag on YouTube says.
Ring that bell.
ring the bell. No, you don't have to do any of that. Yes, you do.
Yeah, please. Yes, please do. You don't have to, but please do.
Well, the way that the YouTube algorithm works, the more that you like it, the more the video then gets displayed to other Brisbane Roar and A-League fans. And
just comment your favourite fruit. Like, anything that helps.
No, let us know your experiences with the staff at Suncorp. If you're watching from another club, if you're a supporter from another club, firstly, thank you for watching, and let us know your experiences at your club and your stadium or any other stadiums that you've been to in Australia or around the world. If you've got an example like John had.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty awesome. Pretty compelling having thousands of games in, 13 different countries or something like that. So,
175 stadiums or something. So, if you've got experiences that either, bad experiences or good. If you have seen something that has worked, let us know in the comments.
Especially if you're someone that goes to games in other parts of Australia, it'd be really cool to hear what your experiences are with the staff and security and whatnot.
Policing.
The policing of you guys in the stadium while you're there. So it'd be really interesting to know if it's something that runs across the board.
That's going to be it for today. We'd appreciate it if you enjoyed this episode. To jump on your favourite podcast platform, Spotify, Apple. There's a couple of other platforms that our usual podcast is up on, and we'd appreciate it if you go and have a listen there. We just did our first interview with Mike Tuckerman a couple of weeks ago. We spoke about the Ben Kahn situation, so you go back and check that episode out if you want. And we will hopefully do more of this and maybe even a little bit of content as well.
Yeah, wouldn't mind doing some content.
If we're allowed to take our camera into the stadium. I'm not taking it.
It seems to you just can't seem to take a longer lens.
No, Dom from Dom's Ball Chat. Shout out to Dom. He's another listener. He wasn't allowed to take his GoPro in the other week. So, sort that shit out too, Kaz and Zach, if you're listening, and Suncorp. Let us take our cameras in. It's 2024. Everyone wants to make content.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks for watching.
You've got a camera here.
I know. You can zoom in with your iPhone and get better quality than what this camera does with a zoom. Yeah. So, Yeah, it's crazy. That's another story. Thanks everyone for watching.
Yes, thank you very much. It was awesome. I keep looking over it myself, so I'm sorry if it looks like I'm being distracted by something behind it. There's just two really beautiful men on the screen next to it.
Two very large men taking up the entire frame.
Slowly sweating in the aircon somehow.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. Go Brisbane against Sydney this week. Comment, like, subscribe. All that jazz, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.